Hello, this is Stacy from Truly Majestic. Today we're going to make this arm knitted super chunky scarf, and it comes off with these two little tabs which are nice, and it makes it very versatile and easy to use. Let's get started. Hello, be sure to check out our arm knitting rewards we have listed on our Patreon account. The link is in the description. Happy arm knitting! So we're going to be making our scarf out of this. This is felted wool roving. Don't use unfelted, it will shed everywhere. And I have a video for felting in the link in the description. The first thing we want to do is find our end and tie a loose knot. Not a slip knot because this is really bulky wool, just a loose knot. And we put our hand through. The tail needs to be going forward, and we'll hide this later. So we want to pull 3 chain stitches through for our scarf. So this is already 1, 2, and this is 3. So you have a total of 3 stitches. So the first knot we tied was 1, and then we needed 2 more. Right, this is what it should look like on this side, and on the other side it looks like this. Now we're going to bend the last stitch up, like this. We're going to take another stitch through this kind of bar that's attached to this stitch, and lastly we're just going to use one of these loops, it doesn't matter which one, for our last stitch. So now we have 3 loops, looks like this on this side. Oh, I just destroyed it. And on this side, it's looking like this. It's a bit rough now, but it'll start looking better. So I want to take these loops and pop them on my arm. And I'm going to pull this tail a little bit more and snug up my stitches. So I want this on my arm, and I'm actually doing this with the bumpy side towards me. Now you can have the bumpy side away from you, like this, if you want. That just means when you knit, if the bumpy side is back there, you need to have this yarn on this side. But if the bumpy side is towards you, you need to have the yarn on this side. So we're going to skip this first stitch. This just stays on my arm. The next one, we're going to keep our yarn in the front here, and we're going to pull it through. This is called a purl stitch. If I was doing it the opposite way, it would be called a knit stitch, if I had these bumpies on the other side. So we just keep pulling through. I'm going to put this on my other arm and snug it up, and then grab this yarn, pull it through this loop, so I have a brand new loop, and the loop goes on my arm. And then the last one, like this, we put it actually back onto this arm. Now we come to the middle loop, again, it goes through onto our arm, and you don't have to use your arm for this. You can just do it laying flat. You can lay it flat like this and just knit it this way. So I'm pulling my stitches like this, like this. I need to pull a lot of yarn out. And then again through this one. And we keep doing that, but I'm going to put it back on my arm because it's easier. So we keep doing this until this is nice and as long as we want it. So at this point I've joined my yarn because this yarn wasn't long enough, and I find that knots actually work the best. You can felt it together, it takes more work and it is more delicate and it has a possibility of pulling apart. So just make sure wherever you tie it together in a knot that it is on the opposite side from what you want to show. So in this case, I want to actually make sure this knot is kind of at the top of this loop, because this loop is going to be hidden, if I can show you quickly, with the next stitch like this. And see, on this side, you can't see it apart from this tail, which we can hide. But on this side, which is the back side, it'll show. Right, so let me go back to what I was doing. So I need to take that through. This is YouTube, so if I'm going too fast, you can always slow the video down. So this is what it looks like on this side, and on this side it looks like this. Now, let me hide this knot. We are getting towards it being long enough, so let me just check. Yes, so this is about the length that I want, and we're gonna cast off this end so it'll be ended and then join it together with a toggle. So to cast off, this is long enough, so to cast off I need to make one new stitch. Now I have 2 stitches, and I want this last one to go over the top of this one, and then we keep that one. So I need to make one more new stitch again, and this one goes over the top and through, and then what we have left is 1 stitch, which I need to pass the rest of my yarn through. And if you have, you can also cut this and make a shorter tail so you only have a little tail to hide. But since this is my practice yarn, I really don't want to cut anything. So I'm going to fluff it a bit so you can see what it's going to look like. And this knot is here, so I'm just going to push it behind so it's not showing anymore. See, then it's behind. Right. Looking good. Let's try it again. Yes, this is about what I want. So now I'm going to hide this tail. This is the tail we began with, and this was really loose. It was like this. And if you find that it's so loose, you can just give a yank and snug all this stuff up, because usually the cast-ons are looser than the rest of the stitches. And I'm just going to tie this onto the back, and then just hide this tail into the stitches. There is no set pattern for this. You can do whatever you want, whatever works good to hide it. And then on this side, you can see it's really looking nice. And as we go through it, the other side always is tidy. The cast-offs are usually more tidy than the cast-ons. So now we need to make a toggle. So I need about this much yarn to make a toggle. I'm going to cut this, and probably everybody's yarn is a bit different, and this is too felted to cut. This is just not cutting, so forget that idea. If your yarn is really felted, you can actually pull it apart like this, so you've made it thin, and then really yank, and then you can see how soft and fluffy this is. This is like unfelted wool now, and it will give fuzz. So we'll just give it a twirl. This is the end I want. We give it a twirl and kind of give it some friction to felt it up. But anyways, what we want to do now is make kind of like a frog, so, or a toggle. I'm not talking about croaking frogs, so I'm just tying knots. All I'm doing is just tying little knots one after another until it becomes a little bit bumpier. Let's go with one more. No, let's not go with one more. Let's test. And then we start knotting up the other side. And like I said, these are nothing special. This is just a knot. Not too tight. It's just a loose knot. And there we have kind of a nice toggle. So we're going to hide the tails inside of this. And then we have this nice little frog or toggle. So what I'm going to do now, by the way, on this end, I have a little bit of yarn left over. I would normally just cut this off and weave it into these stitches the same as I did with this side. But since this is my practice yarn, I don't want to do that. So now we have it around our neck, and we want to slide one of these frog ends through here, through anywhere really, wherever you want this to be joining together. And then on this side, we also need to slide it through. And then this nicely holds your ends together. And it gives it a little bit of kind of fancy decoration as well. So that's what it looks like. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. And let me know if you have any ideas for any other videos. I'm Stacy from Truly Majestic. By the way, please subscribe, and if you do, let me know in the comments and I will welcome you personally to the channel. Thanks for watching. I'm Stacy. Bye.